Hello, good evening and welcome to the University of Lincoln's Live Lounge. This evening I am delighted to welcome Bailey. Hi Bailey.
Hi.
And I'm Bailey's mum, Joann. Hi Jo.
Hi.
Hello. And tonight what this is about is anybody that's watching, if you're sort of interested in sort of a parent's view, concerns, worries about what you should be asking, what you should be dealing with, then please come along and sort of watch and listen to the advice and listen to the journey that Bailey had when she came and joined Lincoln. So Bailey, as you can see, is now our Vice President for Campaigns and Environment, working for the SU here at Lincoln, and that's an appointment that she started in June this year. So a very challenging start to any sort of job, I think is very fair to say. But actually, Bailey, you just completed a degree in geography, didn't you?
I did, yes. So I've just finished my 3 years back in sort of May time, and then I started my job here in June. Just can't get rid of me.
Absolutely. We don't want to get rid of you. We love you. And also, geography is a subject that you can study at BSc or BA. So which did you choose?
BSc, definitely BSc.
Proper science, proper scientist at heart. So, okay, when you started your journey then, Bailey, what A-levels did you choose? So how did your journey start?
So I think I was always advised by mum and dad, everyone, just pick subjects that you enjoy doing. But that sort of led to A-levels which don't relate to each other whatsoever. So I did physics, geography, drama and politics.
Wow. Well, a good combination, which allows you, so that's like really great sort of a takeaway already from this session, that actually you did subjects that you love, which is absolutely advice I would give, and obviously you got the grades that you required to do geography. So when you came, where did you study? Where are you from? Where's your mum sat at the moment? Where are you?
So we're from Norfolk. So Norfolk, we come from Kings Lynn. So I went to Springwood High School and then I stayed there to do my A-levels and then hopped up an hour and a half to Lincoln.
Along the A17 that is never very speedy, I think is fair to say, no matter which stage you ever come. It's never a fast route, that one, but it is a good route to Lincoln, can I say. So when you started your journey and you thought, right, I'm in the sixth form, university is an option. So thinking of outside the box, did you always consider Lincoln, or had you got other ambitions to go to other universities? What was your journey? When did you start thinking about your university journey?
So I think it was year 12. We started sort of thinking, do you want to go to uni? Do you want to do an apprenticeship? I decided uni after a lot of debate, I think, because I wanted to get out into, like hands-on stuff, but I realised I couldn't really do that without a degree. So I thought, right, degree first. And then that gives you that basis as well to be able to do lots of different things. And the great thing about geography is that you can go into literally anything with a geography degree. Like you could go do a geography degree and then go into the police force or work in a bank, or it relates to so many different careers, which is incredible. So I didn't want to narrow it down just yet. So yeah, Lincoln wasn't originally one of my sort of first unis I was looking at, because I didn't actually know Lincoln did geography, because I was, you Google it, you look on UCAS, what are the best unis that do it, and so of course I was like, right, well, Oxford, Cambridge, here I come. But then I sort of realised maybe that's not for me, maybe I don't want that pressure, and I probably wouldn't get the grades. But yeah, I didn't know Lincoln did geography, and it was actually because, so the first time I ever came to Lincoln was when we moved my older sister into PAVS student accommodation in Lincoln. So I hadn't ever been before, and I hadn't even looked at it myself as a sort of choice, but she went to uni the year before me, so I went to help move her in, and then I thought, oh, this is all right.
It's quite nice. So what I'm going to ask the viewers right now is, I'm just going to pause a second and ask anybody that's watching, if you are from Norfolk or from Kings Lynn, then please comment in the comments and let us see where you're viewing from this evening. Because it's really nice to know, and sort of say hi to us in the comments. What we also want is, if you're a parent, please ask us the questions so that we can answer those, so that actually it is absolutely relevant to you. We've got a question about what the current scenario is of Lincoln, but if you just sort of, we'll give you a guide really high, and just let us know. The current scenario at Lincoln is we are still here, we're still working. I'm on campus at the moment, Bailey has been on campus an awful lot, and our students are still here at the moment, although, as you know, today a lot of the window is for going home. So that's how it is at Lincoln. We're definitely all still here at the moment. So that we can assure you of that. So when you decided, you came to Lincoln, sort of had a bit of an appetite, sort of obviously when you were in year 12, when your sister started, and I think she did biomed. We do know Lexi, so a big shout out to Lexi. I hope you're watching, because we have at the university seen a lot of Lexi and we love her a lot. So she came, and you sort of then realised that Lincoln might be an option.
Yeah, so we were on I think a day with Lexi, and there happened to be an open day on or something like that, and we just sort of stumbled across the School of Geography's head of school, who was Mark Macklin at the time, and he was like, "Hi, are you here to look at geography?" And we were like, "No, we're just sort of passing through." And he was, but you know, that's quite ironic because that's actually what I want to do. And he's like, "Did you know we do geography here?" "Well, we don't yet, but we will sort of next year." And I thought, oh, okay, I'll start to consider it then. And obviously myself and Lexi are extremely close, so that was always a bit of a draw. But yeah, it just sort of, it happened out of nowhere a little bit.
Fabulous. So we've got a couple of questions already, which is fabulous. So Gillian Lesley has asked, when do you need to apply for accommodation? Now, this is a really good question because you've just talked about accommodation, Bailey. So if you have already applied to us and got an offer and you've put us as firm choice or insurance choice, then you can apply now for accommodation at Lincoln. So I think when you and Lexi were going through your application process, it was March. So anybody else that's got older siblings or, you know, sons or daughters, you may be thinking about the 1st of March, but actually we are now open for accommodation. So have a look. If I'm going to ask our producer today, who is Ryan, to put the link for accommodation.lincoln on the screen, then hopefully you can go and see what accommodation we have on offer. And I can assure you there's an awful lot of building work going on, Bailey, isn't there, here at Lincoln at the moment? And we are surrounded by brand new accommodation, all coming online for 2021. So have a look on there, see what the offer is, and get applying for your accommodation now so that you don't miss out. So really good question, Gillian. I've got a question for you, Joann. From Angel Blue. So hi to you. And the question is, how did you feel about Bailey leaving home? So this is a really good one, and I think there is probably every parent sort of dreads the day, you know, despite those stroppy teenager years, when they're going to lose their son or daughter to go to university. It's sort of quite an ordeal for both parties. So how did you feel about it?
I was desperate for her to go and have that experience, and Lexi had gone the year before, so we then had 1 year with Bailey at home, and we knew that she was going to go, and we just made sure that we did everything that we could do as a family to ease that transition for us and for her. So we visited Lincoln quite a bit, so she got used to the area. She knew where she was going. We worked out trains and buses. We worked out the routes. We thought it all through so that there weren't any surprises. She was comfortable with it. But of course, you have that. That's my baby leaving home. Of course you do. But we don't have them to hold on to them. We have them to release them into the wild and let them grow and be who they are. And I have two daughters that have completely blossomed through their experience at Lincoln. And it's been a wonderful environment for them to do that.
That's lovely to hear. And I know we were chatting when we were setting up this earlier in the week, and one of the questions that I had, which I think is relevant to probably to Angel, sorry, is and puts this reassuring sort of angle to it. I sort of said to you, you know, how often did you come home? Was it something where you sort of arrived here in September and you didn't head back to Kingsley until Christmas? And you both categorically told me your story that wasn't the case, was it?
Definitely not. I came home maybe every 2 or 3 weeks to begin with, and I probably wanted to come home every other night, to be honest. I love home, and I was a homebody is what you used to call me all the time. It was a real shock for me to go to uni, to be honest. I was quite resistant, I think, at first, and I used to call you every single day, and there is no shame in that. I called you every day without fail, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, just to tell you that I'd had lunch, you know. Still text my grandma whether I've had my 5 a day, that kind of thing. I came home a lot, and then it gradually just sort of became every like 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then it tended to sort of be more like if there was a reason, like a family thing or like Christmas and that kind of stuff, then I'd come home. But yeah, it definitely was a lot to begin with.
But that's fine. That's the model that worked, obviously, isn't it? Is that the same for, I mean, obviously you've mentioned you've got 2 daughters, and was that the same experience for Lexi, or?
No, Lexi was very shy when she went, and I was quite concerned about Lexi, much more about her mixing. And she just threw herself in, and it pushed her out of her comfort zone, and it was the very best thing that could have ever happened to her. And we kind of pushed her off the ledge, and she has flown. It's been amazing. But it's about, you know, when you take them to school on that first morning, you're almost back there. This is a whole new world for them. And you just have to make it as positive as you possibly can. And, you know, we made it your new normal, didn't we, Bailey?
Yeah, and I think, Lexi just probably came home at Christmas, I think, in her first year, because she just, like I said, threw herself in. We're very different people, but both is okay. Like, if you want to, you know, it's up to the person. If you want to come home every weekend, I know people that still, like, even in 3rd year, still went home every weekend. That's fine. Like, if you don't want to be watching, if you want to take it home, so be it. But just what's best for you, and any option is okay, I think.
And I think that's, you've got to be adaptable as a parent. You always have to be anyway, don't you? But I think that's a nice reassuring message, I think, to parents and to students watching, that, you know, there's no absolute perfect model here. You know, you can come home quite regularly like you did, Bailey, or you sort of arrive and going home at Christmas is something that is fine. So I think that's a really good message. We've got loads of questions coming in, which is really exciting. I love this. So we've got Kat, and Kat has a daughter who also goes to Springwood, so that's really exciting. So hi, Kat, she's from Wisbech. So another little journey I think you'll be coming to along that A17, which is very exciting. You also asked that your daughter's applied for accommodation today, which is fantastic. And when will she find out if she's been accepted? You will find out. Accommodation will contact you, but your actual allocation for your room will be a lot later along the cycle. So if you've got any questions about that, if you contact accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, and then they will tell you exactly, or have a look on the website, then please go along and ask any questions about what the next stages are. And the accommodation team there are absolutely brilliant, and they will answer that straight away for you. So Alison has also asked another accommodation question. Do students have to put Lincoln as first choice to get their accommodation preference? Yes, they do. It's first choice or insurance. So yeah, until you've done that or made that first choice, that firm choice, then you can't actually choose your accommodation. So if please find out everything to ensure. I think you mentioned already, Bailey, doing your research about the course and about the university first before you jump in with the accommodation. So please do that, and then you'll know, and research your accommodation as well.
Yeah.
When you came, Bailey, obviously you've mentioned that Lexi lived in Pals. Where did you live when you first came in your first year? What sort of journey have you had of accommodation?
So I think Mum and Dad were quite impressed with Lexi's sort of experience with Pavs, weren't you? So you were like, oh, definitely go for that. But I remember looking, I don't know if it was in some sort of accommodation guide that the university gave us, but it had like a grid and then all the different sort of things at that accommodation. So whether it had an ensuite or whether there was catering, all that kind of stuff. And it was a massive like grid checklist thing. And I remember going down that and eliminating basically all the ones that didn't have an ensuite, because I was a bit of a princess. Still am a bit of a princess.
Still is.
But yeah, so I sort of worked out what suited me, and it ended up being Pavs anyways. And I quite liked being near Lexi because she stayed there for her second year as well. So we were together, not in the same flat. That would have been too much, but the same building. So close enough. But you really liked the fact, Mum, didn't you, that it was all like gated, so it felt safe. I remember you saying to me, it's like safe.
Yeah, there were two things. It was gated, so as parents of girls, we felt it was a very safe environment. But also, it's just a walk through from the campus. You didn't have to go anywhere, and it felt really, really safe. But as we got to know Lincoln, we realised that we felt it was a very safe city. It is a city, but it's a really safe environment. That's how we feel about it. And some of the other universities in bigger places felt a bit spread out, and there were journeys in between the accommodation and the actual campus. And we thought about the hours that they would be doing activities, and it felt the right fit comfortably for us.
There's so many accommodations that are on campus. So when I was in Pavs, I know Courts is the same. I wouldn't have to cross one road to get to the sports centre, the library, Minerva building, which is the main one, the SU buildings, the Swan, if I fancy going to the pub. I didn't have to cross one road, which was really convenient.
It is, and it was convenient for you as a student, but as a parent, you felt reassured by that as well, which I would, and I always think is the uniqueness of Lincoln, isn't it? You know, we're in the centre of a city, but equally, it's a campus university. It's absolutely unique. Right, we've got loads more questions. So we've got Paul Russell, who's got a son or daughter already here. I'm like, we've got so many questions, so moving down. You've got a son here already, so we're just having a bit of a shout out to Paul. Please, your younger brother, tune in to our virtual open day and find out about electronic engineering, because we would also love you to have two sons come into Lincoln, and Paul, maybe in a couple of years, then we can have you on here and telling us about your journey as well. That would be lovely. So please, I hope that Harry's brother will join us and do as Lexi and Bailey have done, which would be amazing. We've got another question from Alison. How much do you think your experience differs from those this year's freshers starting under university COVID? Now, Bailey, you know, I'm going to ask you now, as your sort of role at the SU, what sort of things we've put in place for our students?
So when I was a fresher, Obviously COVID wasn't a thing, which was glorious. So we were able to do all the like normal things that you would do. I don't really drink, so I was never like a goey outy sort of person. I gave it a go, but I like to be in bed at 10 latest. So I sort of did all the freshers fairs, all the sports societies fairs, all that kind of stuff, all the sports and societies like taster sessions, got really involved with like the student union stuff. So I still had a wonderful time. So now as the student leader, sort of myself and the other SABs and the whole student union are responsible for putting that on for students that are coming and freshers. So it's been a lot different this year, but we have done our absolute best. All of our fairs, so we still had all the sports societies, all of the fairs that we usually have to sort of get students involved with clubs and sports and things. We had all of those still because we made a virtual fair platform. This is the extent that we went to for the students. Our students union actually made the platform to host these events, which is really good. And then we did lots of online quizzes and movie nights and you name it, we probably did it. And then when we could like actually meet in person again, socially distanced, we had all those events massively spread out in the engine shed. And we still managed to put on those events as well, so we could actually see students face to face at a 2-meter distance. But it's been very, very different. But I think those freshers that I've spoken to have really made my year as a student leader. I've said, how are you feeling? Because I was doing walking tours around the city at the time, because we thought, what can we do sort of legally within the guidelines? And so I was like, right, I'm going out and going to take some students around the city. So I took a flat of students around and I said, how are you feeling? Like, are you feeling a bit disheartened this year? And they were like, no, this is great. We've left home, we're still going to uni, like we're still doing this thing, we're still able to interact with you. And I thought, do you know what? That really like just melts my heart a little bit, because it's just so lovely to hear freshers actually having a good time despite everything. But still really, really great.
Absolutely. Right, we've got more questions. So we've got Andy and Hayley from Long Sutton. So again, we've got, have you like roped in the whole of Norfolk to your session? And their daughter is looking at coming to Lincoln, and how safe is the campus and surrounding area? Andy and Hayley, I think Joann sort of answered that as how she felt. And I think it is, nobody can sort of unfortunately say this is the safest city in the UK. That's not something we can prescribe, unfortunately. You have a feeling when you go to a university, and my suggestion is, whilst we can't welcome you on campus at the moment, you can probably visit the city. So come along, come to Lincoln and have a wander around the city. And I think that's what's come out of sort of Joann and Bailey's sort of experience of research. Come to Lincoln, have a look at the city, familiarise yourself with the city so you feel comfortable about that city. I think that's one of the things that you sort of both said. Please come in. And
yeah, no, just to say that we're at whatever accommodation you choose, you can walk to the campus, you can walk to a supermarket, and you can walk into the city centre. So you don't need any transport, and there's no cost involved in any of that transport, which is really good. And also the train station is practically on the campus as well. So it feels very compact, and it's really easy to navigate and get around and to live. So if you're not able to visit, take it from us. It's all there for you.
It's probably worth mentioning as well that on campus there is a security team as well, and you can call them any hour of the day, and then they'll have security in accommodations as well, some accommodations. So it's incredibly safe on campus, I would say. And then, like we've already mentioned, it's a small city, so it's pretty safe outside.
And also in our student accommodation on campus, we have resident wardens that work. So in each of the sort of university-owned accommodation, there are resident wardens that are resident, obviously, in the accommodation, and they're there to pick up any sort of pastoral and any sort of support that students need, and the feeling that they are there is sort of nice and reassuring, and certainly has been this year. They've definitely been very supportive of all sorts of things that we've had to deal with self-isolation and things like that. So it's really nice. Right, another question from Alison about your travel. So how did you travel home from Lincoln to Norfolk? Are there trains, coaches, or did you have a car? How did you actually sort of commute backwards and forwards?
In my first year, I just went on the train, but because it is quite an awkward train journey, I won't lie. You have to go round the Wash, so you have to get 3 trains to go round the Wash, which is a bit of a nightmare. But I only did that for my first year, and then I had my car in second and third year and kept that near campus. And when I moved into student houses, I then had parking, so I was able to do that, which meant I could go back and forward.
Amazing. So we've got another question from Eleanor Clark, and we're saying hi to everybody that's watching, because there's lots of highs, but I really want to answer the questions if I can, so I'm not ignoring anybody. If you put your application in for uni nearer to the deadlines, are you still able to get accommodations? Yes, Eleanor. Please, it will be, unfortunately, the most popular accommodation is likely to sort of get full and get to capacity, but there is plenty of accommodation. So please, I'm going to ask Brian again to put out accommodation.lincoln.ac and have a look at the accommodation that's available. Have a look and take your choice, really, because I think that's really important to have a look at that and see what is available, because there is varying amounts of budget and all sorts. And as we've said, they're all around the campus as well, so that's really good, and all within walking distance. We've got another question from Bob Ross's Stunt Double. Hello, Bob. What kind of additional learning support is there, and are they available 24/7? So the library is definitely open at some point at 24/7, Bailey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, over exam periods and in the lead up to exams, definitely 24/7.
And I mean, you've just mentioned that you sort of quite like an early night, but have you had any all-nighters in that library?
Once, and actually I left my flat with all of my friends, and the engine shed is right next to the library, and the engine shed's where all the big sort of live events happen, and they went into the engine shed, and it must have been like 9-10 o'clock for an event, and I went into the library and I was like, see you later, see you at like 3 a.m. and that was only once that I had to do it, but yeah, I have used it.
There. And additional learning support. So additional support, we have an absolutely incredible wellbeing team that's headed up, and it is absolutely amazing. And if you haven't, or you're thinking of making your application through UCAS, our advice is very much sort of tick that box and get that support in place prior to starting here, because actually, if you do that, then the support and any support that is required will be put into place for you, because the team already know you. They do a summer school, which is called our Wow Week, which is incredible to, again, orientate the students. So there's all sorts of stuff. And if you, again, tune into one of our open days, our actual virtual open days, next one being the 16th of December, then that team will be about to answer any questions as well. But if you've got any other questions in the meantime, then please email us at enquiries@lincoln.ac.uk and we will answer those. Right, we've got another question. Let me answer. The introduction of the vaccine. Will lectures be conducted the way they used to be? We really hope so. As you know, the vaccine has been announced all of a day, so we can't guarantee any of that, I'm afraid. What we are doing very much is constructing everything through government guidance at the moment. So as soon as it is safe to do so, then we will conduct all of our lectures. But absolutely, we have done a mix. We've done blended learning, so we've had face-to-face lectures. As you can see, I'm on campus I am on campus, and there are lectures that have been face-to-face. We've had a mix. We've really had students in and out, haven't we, Bailey, on campus this year. So we've got a question from Macy, and I think I've seen this one before, actually, which I may have missed, so I'm really sorry. So Macy White has asked, what is student life like on and off campus? Is there a lot going on? Now, you can answer that, because that's not for mums to answer, is it?
I think it is. No, I would say Lincoln is a buzzing city. And we made a point of visiting Bailey as much as she visited us. We went to the food festival, we went to the Christmas market, we went to the Heritage Day. There's an awful lot going on for families that we've enjoyed taking part in. And now I'll be quiet and let Bailey talk about the student side of what's going on.
Yeah, so let's talk about the fun stuff. So yeah, there is all of that going on. I loved it when you and Dad came and we went to the sausage festival, I think, one year.
Right.
Yes. Such a weird thing to have, but that was good.
Sausage, Bailey. You Norfolk girls, you don't know garlic sausages here.
But in terms of like nightlife, things like that, yeah, there is I wouldn't say there's loads going on. There are several clubs and stuff about, and obviously, like, I've been to a few of them. They're quite good. There's Home, and I'm not really, honestly, I think a couple have shut down in the last couple of years, I won't lie, but there is still a lot going on. I know there's a lot going on in the engine shed at the Students' Union. It's the only sort of big venue in Norfolk. Obviously the Lincolnshire Showground exists also, but we have a lot of live music there, a lot of comedians. Obviously we have when COVID is not a thing, we have our Wednesday night Quack, which is our club night. So there is lots going on campus, which I preferred to go to anyways, because it felt a little bit safer than going out in the city. Not that the city's unsafe, but I sort of liked being on campus. But yeah, lots going on. And then you have Thor's TP bar that comes in the winter where you go hot chocolate, which is amazing. It would just sort of pop out of nowhere in like November time and then disappear some point in January. But that was in the middle of the town, and it was all had big fire pits. It was a massive teepee. It's really great. And then the Lincoln Christmas market, obviously people come from like all over Europe to go to that, so that's a big deal as well. Yeah, just loads and loads going on. There's a massive amount of like restaurants going out for food, like cocktail bars, really nice cocktail bars. So yeah, just lots going on really.
And plenty of clubs and societies on campus. Obviously, you were a member of the Dance Society, weren't you? And there's something like about 150 different, I've probably got that wrong. But
no, that is right. There's almost 200 now, sports and societies. So it doesn't matter what you are into, there is a sport or society for it. It's literally ranging from, just, you can't even describe. There's all things like rugby, dance, all sort of the things that you would have on the sports side, but then there's also sort of societies that just get together, like Fandom Society. If you're into Harry Potter, they get together. There's like a book club one, a Sing It Society. So if you're into just like a cappella and stuff, they're really fun. Yeah, lots and lots to get involved in. And if there's something that you want to do that doesn't exist, say you're an ice skater, I don't know, we don't have an ice skating society, and you're like, I really wish there was one, and then you can just set one up like for free really easily, and we can help you with that as well. So you can do anything here.
You certainly can. Right, we've got more questions. What tips would you give to new students, from Alison, this is again, tips for students that are anxious about leaving home and negotiating the first days and weeks at university? Now, we discussed this on Monday night, didn't we, about Freshers Week and those people that didn't arrive at Freshers Week and the difference it made to their sort of journey, didn't we? And I think we discussed this as a parent as well. So whichever one of you wants to go first, because I know you've got some advice.
Well, the Freshers Week is just absolutely jam-packed with activities. And I was quite disappointed that parents aren't allowed to join in to those, because there's just so much that I would have liked to do. But it's a real bonding time. And it's when new students are getting to know the people that they're living with and finding their way around and introductions to things. So it's really crucial that they go to Freshers Week. But anyone that's anxious or nervous about leaving home, accept that that is perfectly normal and it's okay. And whether it is putting a note in their coat pocket or being available when they ring you every day, 5 times a day, whatever it takes for that student, you know, be there for them as a parent and encourage them and ask them questions and push them, go and visit them, do what they need, and nobody will know your child as well as you do. You need to support them, and before you know it, that they'll be in and the calls will stop and you'll be able to take that back seat.
That's amazing. Bailey, as a student, what would you sort of say?
So I think because I was really anxious about coming. So I honestly, I feel you. If whoever this student is, I 100% feel you. It's hard, and you know when you wake up in like a hotel room and you think, where am I? That first morning that you wake up will be a bit like that, but that's okay. You just have to go, right, out of bed, in the shower, yep, let's get on with it now. Right, what have we got on today? Oh, sports fair, let's go, even though I've never played sport in my life. And I will never forget when I stood in the line for the Freshers Fair, the SU sort of like student staff member said, like, was trying to get more crowd into the engine shed because at that time COVID wasn't a thing, and he said, come on everybody, get unnecessarily close to each other and make new friends, that's what Freshers is all about. And I was like, oh, this is so scary. But just throw yourself in, and that sounds petrifying, but one of my best friends now, I shared a flat with in first year and I lived with throughout. The first interaction we ever had was moving into Pavs, and I had one of the trolleys that you put all your stuff on to move into the accommodation, and we just finished with it and she didn't have one because they were going a bit spare, and I said, oh, would you like my trolley? And she was like, oh, really? And then she's become my best friend, Hannah, her name is. Hi Hannah, if you're watching. And be one of my bridesmaids at my wedding next year. So those bonds that you make in that first sort of week really do last, and you've really got to throw yourself into it a little bit and get unnecessarily put close to the next person in the queue and make a friend. Just say hi to people. And I remember it was actually Hannah's birthday the day before we moved in, and we'd found each other on Facebook beforehand, and I saw it was her birthday the day before, and I took her birthday card even though I didn't know who she was, and still got it, and she just thinks that was the loveliest thing in the world. So those tiny little things that you stick with people, and just say hi and get involved and turn up for things on your own, that's totally fine. I did. That's what you'll find 10 other people that have done exactly the same thing, and you'll probably see my friendly face there too, so I'll sit with you.
Be kind to each other is the takeaway. And also, what you did mention is our applicants page. So we have an initiative that's called Friends for Life. So please, anybody that's thinking of joining the university, then connect to Friends for Life. And we have a Facebook page for the applicants, and that's where you can connect, can't you, already? So that takes away some of the anxiousness about joining and being, you know, as parents, you know, when we would start university, it would be like none of this social media existed. You literally turned up and that was it. You didn't even have a mobile phone, did you? I mean, it just seems, how on earth do you manage without? But you did. But now we've got the ability to make friends before. I've heard people have even met up in you know, for a weekend before they've even arrived, to make with friends that they've met online and stuff, and it just makes that anxiousness of those first few days and weeks. So please, Alison, if you've got a son or daughter that's thinking of joining, get them to connect on the applicant page on Facebook and Friends for Life, because that's what we do.
I think my biggest tip actually for negotiating the first few days is sit in the kitchen, because you will all find that there'll be a flat of you and you'll all sit in your rooms and you'll be really frightened and probably ringing your mum, and that's fine. But if you sit in the kitchen and someone just comes in to get a drink, that those little conversations, I would say stick it out, even if you haven't got a TV in there, just sit in there, be bored for a day, and just meet the other people in your flat. And if you do connect with them on the Friends for Life platform, you can figure out which one of you is bringing the toaster and which one of you is bringing the kettle if you need one, and then you're not doubling. So it's really practical as well, but also just make friends.
Amazing. Right, we've got about 3 more questions, and then I think we're going to have to wrap it up. Although I can already feel a series 2 of this, because there's so many questions. You know, please don't think this is getting away with this. I think we need you back sort of a bit further around the cycle. Ella has asked, which I will answer for. When is it considered safe to do so? Do we envisage having open days on campus? Desperately, Ella, yes. I'm so desperate to bring you onto campus. You can't get a feel for what we're all talking about until you do come to campus. We are desperately hoping that at the minute in the spring we are allowed to do so, then we will allow you back onto campus and do that very safely and in a very controlled manner. So please, you can pre-register now. So if you go onto our website, you can pre-register to come onto our physical open day. So please send us your details, and we'll, at the minute we can connect with you so that you can come. Stephen has asked, when you started at Lincoln, what things did you find most challenging about life at university? That's a really good question.
That's a really hard question, because it was about 4 years ago now. The most things about life in Lincoln, most challenging things, I guess you have to actually plan stuff yourself. So you have to figure out like what you're going to eat and go food shopping and then cook it and then wash up. You have to do all of the stages. And when you come from, and that sounds really princessy, oh, well, I've had to wash up, but actually, like, say there's a family of you and you take turns washing up each night. You know, when you go to uni, you have to do it all yourself. And you have to plan and think. So that was, I had a lot of lists and things of meal planning, that kind of stuff, which obviously mum and dad helped me with. Right, what are you going to cook when you go to uni? Pasta, beans, fantastic. That is a bit of that, but yeah, well, I think that.
Sorry to interrupt you, Bailey, but we did some kind of 2 meals, didn't we? And we worked out, well, if you buy that, you can use half of that meal and half of that meal. So it's not filling your cupboard, because you get one cupboard to put your food in, one cupboard to put your saucepans and everything in. So it's making that connection as well with the people that you live with, and what equipment will you need and what will you use and all of that. So it's just really thinking about it, planning.
Yeah, and then I think probably the other thing is that because I don't really drink that much, I guess it was a bit harder to socialise, because whether we sort of like it or not, there's a bit of a drinking culture at university, and that's not, you know, uncommon at universities. But once I dug a little deeper, joined the dance society, joined all these SU groups, I actually found that there are a lot of people that aren't into that as well. And just like getting together, having a good time, and it is not a massive drinking culture. So I know that's something that a lot of students have come to me already and said, "Oh, I want to go to uni, but I'm a bit scared because I don't really drink, or I'm just don't really like nights out." That's totally fine. You can do it there. Just, you know, play hockey every night of the week, or go to social sport. You know, go join fandom society or chess society or any other society as 150, pick one. There's so many things that you can do that aren't centered around that drinking culture. So please don't, if you're a student, get shy if you're not a drinker, because we're not all drinkers, I promise.
I could talk to you both all night, but I am going to have to sort of bring it towards an end. I think we've got a couple of questions that I am going to answer here. As an international student doing a master's degree at Lincoln next year, yes, you can apply for accommodation, whether you're an undergraduate student or a postgrad, and there are different options for postgraduate students as well. So again, accommodation at Lincoln, or no, accommodation.lincoln will give you those details. And also, Wendy has asked about the WOW week, and yes, we are absolutely hoping this year we did manage to put WOW on, and so there's no reason why that model won't continue next year as well, Wendy. So if you've got any questions about that, then speak to our wellbeing team, and if you want to contact us at encourage@Lincoln, we will ensure that we get that message to the appropriate team at Lincoln, so you can find out more about that. We've had lots of thank yous from Stephen and Alison and Angel, so that's lovely. Thank you ever so much, because you have been absolutely brilliant. And the final question that you answered was about your cooking and your challenges with cooking. Now that leads me very nicely into next week's Live Lounge. And we are going to speak to Sophie, who actually is a current student, but also a geography student. And Sophie has done some isolation cooking videos for us. And we're going to have a bit of a cook-off with Sophie and her sister next week. And talking, as she's doing that, talking about her experiences of student life currently. So please tune in, and that's going to be on Wednesday the 9th of December at 4:30. So come and speak to Sophie. I just want to finally say thank you so much to Bailey and Joann. You have been absolutely amazing tonight. And I'm not sure this is the last we're going to hear of both of you, I'm afraid, because you've been brilliant tonight. And I think the thanks from the viewers tonight has actually sort of proved to me that you're giving such valuable experience and valuable help for these people that are going through this journey this year through very challenging times. So I just want to say thank you so much, and good night, everybody.